Hostiles incoming at the base.
Destiny 2 cross-save is here. Well, it went live a few days ago, but I'm still very excited about it because I've finally made the move to PC and brought all my gear with me, and I'm able to do so with the assurance that if I ever want to play with friends on PS4 again, I still have that option, and all my new gear will go with me. But let me just say what everyone already knew, Destiny 2 on PC is amazing. It runs really, really well. So well, in fact, it almost feels like a different game. I don't know if it's because of the wider field of view, the higher frame rate, or the fact that I can turn and aim so much faster with a mouse than I can with a thumbstick, or some combination of the three, but the game feels much faster. Just to put it into context, I played Overwatch on PS4 before jumping to PC as well, and it never felt like this big a difference. Also, everyone making the jump to PC has brought to light something I'm a little bit ashamed of. Apparently, just plugging in your 144Hz monitor and setting the resolution in the settings, and then using the in-game menu to set the frame rate to match your monitor isn't enough. You have to actually go into a submenu in your Windows display settings and actually enable the higher refresh rate, which means I stupidly played games capped at 60 frames per second for over a year and didn't know it until now. But now that I'm playing at the proper settings, it feels like an even bigger jump from my base PS4 console's 30 frames a second. But I even feel like I run and jump faster, sometimes even to my detriment. Sometimes I get moving around so quickly that I almost try to do too much and get myself into trouble. It's just another adjustment I'll have to make, but having played enough PC games in the last few months, I feel like I'm adjusting to playing Destiny with a mouse and keyboard control pretty quickly. But if you're also making the switch to PC for the first time, know that your brain may take some time to adjust, not just because of the speed of the game, but because it'll take time to remap your muscle memory away from doing what you've been doing for years now on a controller. But once you get there, it'll be very hard to go back. One tip I have if you're struggling with the adjustment would be to lower your sensitivity and customize your key bindings to something that feels natural to you if you haven't already. If you're like me, your ring finger and your pinky are pretty much worthless. They just sit there and do nothing.
Well, don't just stand there, do something.
As someone who grew up with a controller in my hands, those fingers are just used to grip the controller. So when I first started playing games on PC, I needed to regularly yell at them to convince them to find the Q, Tab, or number row keys, while my other fingers were occupied controlling movement. But now that they're learning the muscle memory they never used to have, hitting those keys feels a little bit more natural, even if I still occasionally accidentally activate my class ability, which I have mapped to Q, when I'm trying to bring up my ghost with the Tab key. I think the defaults have grenade mapped to Q, but that doesn't make any sense to me. In Overwatch, Q is the ultimate ability, so it would make sense to map super to it, but I ended up mapping the class ability to it so that I don't accidentally activate my super while I'm trying to bring up my ghost. If you have a mouse with thumb buttons, which you definitely should, I'd recommend mapping melee and crouch to them and putting grenade on a click of the mouse wheel, because I don't think I'll ever get used to pressing the C key for anything, and I'm not sure I can convince my thumb to hit control consistently when I want to crouch slide. And for whatever reason, I've just gotten used to grenade being the scroll wheel click in pretty much all my games that have grenades as a weapon or ability type. But that's just how I've mapped my key bindings. I'm sure there are other guides out there for more optimal key bindings, but either way, you should do some experimenting and find something that works for you. One of the controls that ended up requiring a bit more of an adjustment than I thought it would was using the scroll wheel to cycle between weapons. That's pretty normal for shooters on PC, but because I'm used to Destiny on console and you tap the triangle or the Y button to swap back and forth between primary and secondary weapons, or you do a long press to go to your power weapon. But with a mouse wheel, you scroll down 3 times or up once to get to your power weapon, and from there, depending on whether you scroll up or down, you'll either get to your secondary or primary. So at first I had a hard time remembering which direction to scroll to get to the weapon I wanted. It's not like it's super hard or anything, just that coming from console, it was a little bit of an adjustment to make. But it's more than just learning a new input method and an upgrade to the visuals that makes it feel like a different game. Suddenly, weapons I never bothered with on console feel not just viable, but very, very good to use. I don't know about other console Destiny players, but I rarely used SMGs because they kicked so hard that they were very difficult to use at anything but very close range, where you're probably better off using a shotgun or a fusion rifle instead. But because there's no recoil to speak of on PC, with a mouse it's so much easier to hold your fire on an enemy's head even from longer ranges, and because of it, SMGs, and I'd also add higher rate of fire auto rifles, feel really good to use and fill their intended role far better than they ever did on console. Plus, something about seeing those big damage numbers popping up so incredibly fast feels right to my brain. It makes them feel like they're doing more work faster, even though it's probably not really true. Now I just need to grind for that Recluse. I'm so far behind. And I know it's not a popular opinion because people have always loved hand cannons in Destiny, especially when it comes to PvP, but I hated hand cannons on console in Destiny 2. After that big nerf to hand cannons back in Destiny 1, I've just never come back around on using them. In fact, Destiny YouTuber Cool Guy even made a video talking about the difference between using hand cannons on console versus using them on PC. I'll link to that video in the description. It's pretty interesting and definitely worth a watch. It does a good job of illustrating just why I find them so terrible to use on console. Now, obviously, they are still usable, and Cool Guy's video does a good job of showing you how to use them, but to me they're more trouble than they're worth. Why deal with bloom and crazy recoil and a barrel that completely obscures your vision of where you're shooting when I could just use a pulse rifle that has a sight that's far more consistent? I just don't feel the need to handicap myself to get a time to kill that's no better than what you get with a pulse rifle. But on PC, it's a different story. No bloom, no ridiculous recoil, and the barrel stays off to the side, allowing you to see where you're shooting. It's like it's how hand cannons are supposed to operate. So suddenly I'm finding I really enjoy hand cannons again, and I enjoy SMGs really for the first time. So between the faster, more fluid pace of the game and using a new loadout of weapons, it really has felt like playing a new game since coming over to PC. And as someone who has only recently jumped back into Destiny after a lengthy time away from the game, I have a lot of catching up to do. I've been digging into Black Armory, Season of the Drifter, and Season of Opulence quests, as well as trying to grind out a few of the exotic and pinnacle weapon quests. I might have to do a follow-up on this video to discuss whether or not it's worth coming back now, or if you should wait until Shadowkeep drops. For now, I'll just say I'm having fun, and cross-save is a very welcome and long overdue addition, and I can't wait for crossplay to come if it ever does. So if you play Destiny 2 and you want to move to a different platform, head over to Bungie.net to get cross-save set up. It's a pretty easy process, and if you haven't started playing Destiny 2 yet, remember that Bungie is releasing a free-to-play version of the game on console and Steam on October 1st. Leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know how your move to a new platform has gone in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Primeval down. Good work.